Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome into the Farzy Show. My name is Mark Farzetta. We're here at the Steven Singer Studios with the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer himself. Phillies bats died again, so moment of silence for the Phillies bats. Eagles are in Cleveland for training camp for their joint practices, and one tweet about that really made me laugh. And then Ben Simmons gets heckled, and the 76ers schedule comes out. All that and more on the Farzy Show today. Let's start it off with the Phillies bats. I don't know what it is, but I am very much a believer in the broadcast jinx. Whether that's mentioning a no-hitter and then the guy loses the no-hitter, or whether that's a guy who has just been pitching really, really well, and then it ends up biting that team in the butt. Ranger Suarez. And when I saw this pop up on the screen yesterday, I thought, this was, I think, in the third inning when they put this up on the old TV screen there during the Phillies broadcast. I didn't necessarily think that Ranger Suarez was going to get blown up, which he obviously did not. 7 strong, 7 scoreless yesterday. But they put this stat up there on the TV broadcast, and this blew my mind. Lowest ERA, minimum 160 innings pitched by starters since August 2nd of last season. Since August 2nd of last season, Ranger Suarez ranks 6th best ERA with a 2.76 ERA since last August 2nd. So over the last year, essentially, over the last full season, Ranger Suarez is only behind, and here's the names that blew my mind: Max Scherzer, Max Fried, Julio Urias, Sandy Alcantara, Corbin Burns, Ranger Suarez. Those are some pretty good names to be behind. And Ranger Suarez ranks right there on the list. Our friend Tyvita, haven't seen you in the chat in a minute. I know you're not a big Ranger Suarez fan. You're not really waiting for him to break out, but he has broken out. And I'm fully aware of the way he ended the season last year in the final 2 months, and I applaud him for all that. And going into this season, my big thing was if Ranger Suarez can click back into that starter's role and all that. He pitched great last year in a small sample size. Well, throughout this year, he has pitched pretty damn well also. I saw that stat and I went, Ranger Suarez has been pitching out of his mind. Can they get it again today? And yesterday, that's exactly what they got. They got a dominant performance from Ranger Suarez. And the bats did nothing. The bats did absolutely nothing to give him support. And then you think about his last start against the Mets where he was dominant, and the bats gave him next to nothing in that, but they were still able to get the win. I was amazed, absolutely amazed with what he was doing yesterday. And after the game, Rob Thompson said that Suarez didn't have his best stuff by any means, but he was able to battle through. He looked like he had his best stuff. He was like 70 pitches in the 7th inning. Like, he was pretty efficient throughout the ball game yesterday, but the bats just didn't come around for him. And you look at different examples of these bats, for instance, or bad plays on the base paths. And you look at that first inning, Bohm gets the 2-out double. JT gets hit. Castellanos comes out and strikes out. Those 2 outs in the inning, get runners on first and second. Castellanos wasn't able to cash in that instance. Later in the ball game, Rhys Hoskins in the 5th inning, he's on first base. Alec Bohm hits a line drive to right field. Aquino's in the right field for the Reds. He goes back on the ball, tracks down the ball from Alec Bohm, fires to first, and I'm thinking, no way. His back foot, his plant foot was like on the warning track. No way he's doubling up Rhys Hoskins at first base to end the inning. And then that's exactly what he does. Aquino throws a rope, a Henry Rowan Gardner Rookie of the Year frozen rope from the outfield to first base, doubling up Rhys Hoskins to end the inning. And I'm like, okay. So between the jinx that is the stat of showing that with Ranger Suarez to boneheaded plays of getting doubled off first base in that situation like Rhys Hoskins did, it was like, maybe today is not the Phillies' day. And it certainly was not, as they get the walk-off win from Barrera's walk-off RBI single off Sir Anthony Dominguez to end that game in the ninth inning as it went scoreless into the ninth. Also, look, by then I already knew it wasn't the Phillies' day, but in the ninth inning, JT Realmuto takes a pitch out over the middle of the plate, just above the knees, called strike 3. Don't know what he was looking for, but it wasn't that pitch. He goes down. Next batter up, our man, Nick Castellanos. He swings at a pitch, a 1-2 pitch at his shoulders, and he goes down. All right. Kyle Schwarber grabs a bat. They decide to give him an at-bat in this ballgame, a pinch hit at-bat, much like they did in, game 2 against the Mets. Hey, 1-1 brawl game. Run matters big time. It can change the outcome of the game. Let's get Schwarber up there to see what he can do. He fouls out. Next thing you know, we got ducks on the pond for the Reds in the bottom of the ninth inning, and they walk it off. Phillies take 2 of 3 from the Reds before heading back to Citizens Bank Park to take on the Mets for a 4-game series, including a doubleheader. I don't have a good feeling about this Mets series. I want to have a good feeling about this Mets series, but the Phillies have absolutely been dominated by the Mets this year. They're 4-11 against the Mets. And I know the Mets fans, they love crawling in the comments of this show. They love hitting me up on Twitter. And I know the Phillies, another thing the Phillies broadcast was doing, by the way, yesterday, just on the side, the Keith Hernandez approved play, like a Gene Segura diving play at second base like they had yesterday. Oh, the Keith Hernandez approved. And I'm like, how much more attention are we going to give this? Like, I didn't even like addressing it after the Phillies lost 2 or 3 for the Mets last week. I didn't even like addressing it again, but I had to because there's so many people crawling in the old mentions there. The little DM, I'm going to DM this guy, right? And now it's just, it's up there. Keith Hernandez approved. Okay. All right, I get it. But I'm done with Keith Hernandez. So I don't have a good feeling about this 4-game series with the Mets. Phillies go into this series in the wild card standings right now, a half game in the second wild card spot. They're a half game up on the Padres, and the Padres are now 2 games up on the Brewers, who lost last night. Padres won. That's why they're only, instead of a game and a half, they're a half game. The Phillies up on the Padres. That's where we're at in the wild card standings. The Phillies are still in possession of that second wild card spot. But now as they're coming up to face the Mets, I do not have a good feeling, regardless of the idea that they're not going to face the big guns of the Mets in DeGrom and Scherzer. That's if you're crossing your fingers that you'll miss, and it looks like they will miss those guys in this series. Rob Thompson was asked after yesterday's game by Jim Salisbury about essentially getting the monkey off their backs, something they haven't been able to do. And when they show some signs of life, or they get something positive going for themselves, like they were able to do in game 1 of that 3-game series last week against the Mets. Oh, maybe that's last Friday. Maybe this is the start of something. Maybe they'll look, they already set the bar with 1 win. That's good. They already put that in their pocket. Now you just need 1 more. And then they weren't able to win the pitcher's duel with Nola and DeGrom going on that Saturday game, unfortunately. And then they just got blown out of the water on Sunday. Rob Thompson talked about how there are examples in the past of his big league experience as a the bench coach or what have you behind Joe Girardi. He has said that there's been examples in the past of guys that just are teams that just haven't been able to figure out other teams. And then when push comes to shove, they all of a sudden flip a switch and they're able to figure it out. Here's Rob Thompson explaining why we should have hope as Phillies fans that the Phillies will handle their business against the New York Mets.
And I know you've tested yourself against them this year. You haven't won a series. How important is a good showing at this point in time in mid-August when, it's nitty-gritty time?
Yeah, I think it's always important to play well, especially against good teams. But I think we've proven by beating the Dodgers, beating the Padres, beating the Cardinals, all those teams in the season series, that a pretty good club. Mm-hmm. I remember back in 2009 we played the Anaheim Angels with the Yankees, and we couldn't beat them during the course of the season. Just couldn't beat them. And we got to the playoffs and we beat them.
All right. Let's hope that that's the case. Back in 2009. You know what no Phillies fan wants to hear about the Yankees? Back in 2009. Nobody wants to know about that. Back in 2009, we beat the Angels. What happened shortly thereafter? Oh, you beat the Phillies in the World Series. Cool. Thanks, Topper. Thanks for bringing us back to that. But is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Can the Phillies get that magic back? Kyle Schwarber is supposed to be back in the lineup officially on Friday. That's great. Bryce Harper took another batting practice session yesterday. He has today off. I love the idea that his dad is throwing in batting practice. Hey, that's beautiful. He'll take a rest today, and hopefully he starts that re-up assignment up in the next week at most. And then the Phillies get him back by September 1st, as we have been saying for a couple of weeks now. So we'll cross our fingers that all that happens and the Phillies get their full roster back, minus possibly Brandon Marsh, who we talked about yesterday, had a bone bruise, according to the doctors out there in Cincinnati. The Phillies doctors also reviewed the MRI, bone bruise, and sprained ankle. So it could be an IL stint for Brandon Marsh. You could be getting more Matt Vierling in center field for the Philadelphia Phillies. So we'll see how all this plays out as the next couple of weeks go on. But as far as the marquee names in your lineup, Schwarber, Harper, back in the lineup on a consistent basis. September 1, definitely for Harper, I think, at least, definitely, I say that. And Kyle Schwarber back in the lineup tomorrow when you start this 4-game series with the Saturday doubleheader with the New York Mets. You won't be able to put your best foot forward because you won't have Harper in the lineup, but at least you'll have the best version of yourself going out there. Although, the first couple of games, it was looking pretty good for Bryson Stott in that leadoff spot. Yesterday, they had Gene Segura in that leadoff spot. Bryson Stott came in later as a pinch hitter playing shortstop as well. He was playing shortstop, didn't have his best day at the plate. But what you saw in this particular game in this lineup, Stott was batting down in the order with Gene Segura leading off against Lodolo, who apparently just turned into Nolan Ryan yesterday. But Stott, over his last couple of games, has played well. Yesterday, not the best example of that. Got the day off, got one at bat later in the game. But before that was 0 for 6 in the 11-4 game. That's what I'm thinking of. 0 for 6 in the 11-4 victory that they had on Tuesday. That kind of was a little air out of the balloon for Bryson Stott, but still very excited to see what he could bring you over the last month and a half of the season. So Phillies take the off day today before starting that series with the New York Mets. Again, 4-11 against the Mets so far this season. Let's start to get that monkey off our backs, shall we? Let's shall in that instance. I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen, about the 76ers season. And I know some people are poking fun at the schedule with the Sixers. Like, the schedule release is not that big a deal. And they're right, it's not. However, I will say, when I see that the Sixers have, 23 nationally televised games, that kind of gets me excited. That kind of starts to put the quarter in the machine to get it going. October 18th, they open up things on the road against the Celtics. Then they come home. 2 days later, they face the Milwaukee Bucks for their home opener. That's going to be a hell of a start to the season. You want to talk about measuring stick games like we talk about with like a Mets series in baseball? That's right out of the gate. You're facing the conference champions, and then you're facing 2 years removed from being the NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. That's a big measuring stick, 2 games to start out the regular season. Then I think after they go on the road to Boston for their opener, I think they have the next 3 games at home. But the 76ers are a team that the NBA is looking at as a marquee team. And look, you can always look at Joel Embiid as a guy that is going to be a MVP candidate, really, for the next couple of years, I feel, in the NBA. And they're going to be looking at him as a marquee talent always. But James Harden is obviously already there, already having won an MVP, being one of the biggest names in the sport. Tyrese Maxey, obviously on the up-and-coming star list, I certainly think, in the NBA. And I've been saying that for a while. And then you look at guys like Tobias Harris, who he's at the very least, a name, despite inconsistencies we're aware of here as Sixers fans. But you can look at this PJ Tucker, a champion, a guy that everybody knows at this point in the NBA. And then you have a pretty solid bench backing you up now. Those are all things that make a championship caliber team. Stars and a bench to back up those stars. When I see 23 nationalized televised games, I think about it like I do when I look at the Eagles getting primetime games. Because I always tell you about that. From my experience working behind the scenes and working with people that are heavily influencing that schedule, you want teams on there that, yes, have names, have that superstar marquee draw, of course, for ratings. But on top of it, it also shows you that these networks are trusting the Sixers in terms of going out there and being one of the best teams in the NBA. Like, if anyone's out there thinking that James Harden is not going to be able to put his best foot forward, who were we talking to recently? Our boy Daryl Reynolds, D-Ray, my man, shout him out, Villanova star. Was talking about James Harden, like, not being that guy. the NBA, the television networks, think James Harden, maybe not MVP James Harden, I'm not going there, but I'm just saying can be that guy as one of these still big cornerstones of a championship caliber team. And that's what the NBA is telling you, and the television networks are telling you when they put 23 of the 76ers games on the national stage, which I saw our friends over there at PHL Sports Nation counted it up. It's tied for fourth most nationally televised games of anybody in the NBA. That's telling you that the NBA and the TV networks are trusting Joel Embiid. Dare I say, trusting the process, trusting James Harden, trusting Daryl Morey if this team doesn't look like they're really good out of the gate to keep them competitive no matter what. Trusting James Harden, trusting Tyrese Maxey, trusting Tobias Harris, trusting PJ Tucker. It shows you that there is trust in this team being pretty damn good. That's what it shows you. And I look at this schedule, and I see a team that I think will win the Eastern Conference. I know everyone's talking about the Boston Celtics. I don't think the Boston Celtics are getting Kevin Durant. I don't think the Sixers are getting Kevin Durant. I think the Nets are going to trade him as far away from the Eastern Conference as they possibly can. If I had to make a prediction, I think he ends up with the Suns at this point. Because if you're the Nets, there's no way you want him in your division. And I don't know how much pull Kevin Durant is going to have in this situation, even in a league that, the stars dictate everything. Well, if the stars really did dictate everything, then I think we wouldn't have ever seen James Harden in a Brooklyn Nets jersey. Because even by James Harden's own admission, during his introductory press conference as a member of the Sixers, he just came out and said, Brooklyn was my second choice. Philly was number one. I always wanted to be here in Philly. The best deal that could work out to make both sides happy, Houston and James Harden, was the Brooklyn Nets deal. I don't think that the Nets are going to trade him in conference, and I certainly don't think they're going to trade him in division. Maybe after the Suns, you would have the Heat as the next opportunity or the next happy medium between the both parties there, but even that would be a difficult deal to pull off. So for me, I don't think that Kevin Durant goes to the Boston Celtics. I think the Sixers are a better team right now. When they walked off the court last year to this year, but with the Celtics, how they walked off the court last year, I think the Sixers are a better team than that. And looking at this schedule only lifts my confidence and boosts my confidence in the Sixers being the best team in the Eastern Conference. So give me the Milwaukee Bucks. Don't even give me the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant's not going to be playing there either, and Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons and Seth Curry, all the respect in the world of Seth Curry, the Brooklyn Nets are not beating the 76ers. I think this is the 76ers' year to make it to the NBA Finals. I think they win the conference, and they go to the finals. They take a huge leap from a team constantly bounced out of the second round of the playoffs, and they make it to the NBA Finals. That's my expectation for the 76ers this year. That's the bar. They should be able to accomplish that goal as the season goes on, and they make it into the playoffs. They finally put that second round jinx, that second round hex out of the way, and they make it in there. And the NBA and the TV networks are telling you, yeah, this is going to be a pretty damn good team this year. And I know it's just a scheduled release or what have you, but I'm amped for it. I'm excited for the season to start because this is going to be a huge season for the Sixers. You're going to know a lot about this team's future after this year. Ben Simmons, that's a thing of the past. We'll get to his heckling in a second, but I feel like you're at a point right now with the Sixers where, and it's weird that this has come in so often, but the whole voters fatigue thing, like I think you're going to have the MVP of the league on your team this year, like officially, not just should have, not, the analytics argument says it's Joker. No, I think you're going to have the MVP of the league in Joel Embiid. I think you're going to have an all-star in James Harden. And I think Tyrese Maxey will be having another all-star caliber full season. If he is able to get to that 24, 25 point per game type of mark, like I set for him towards the end of last year, if James Harden is a guy that's dishing out 10 to 12 assists a game, if he's doing that, and if he's scoring 18 points a game a night and all that stuff, I think this Sixers team is going to have 3 all-stars, quite possibly. But when you think about Tyrese Maxey's game and his scoring and his points per game going up with getting assists from a guy like James Harden setting him up, spacing on the floor, his outside shot coming along more, talking about him knocking down more three-pointers and all that, If that all comes along, you're going to have 3 All-Stars on this team. It's very possible that it happens. I think you have at least 2 All-Stars with James Harden and Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey up to those points per game, really starts turning heads throughout the rest of the NBA. Last year, he turned a lot of heads. Don't get me wrong. And he got noticed. But when I start hearing guys on the national scene, guys like Kendrick Perkins, just as an example, Stephen A. Smith talking about him, when you talk about what he's able to bring to the table, he caught everybody's attention for what his potential could be. If he starts really reaching that potential next year, yes, you're going to be talking about a guy who's going to be knocking on the door of being an all-star in the NBA. You could have 3 All-Stars on this team next year very easily. I think you at least have 2 very easily. You could have 3. And it all depends on that huge leap forward, a really big step forward that you could see from a guy like Tyrese Maxey in his 2nd year as a starter. Steal that phrase from the Eagles. But that's what the schedule release did for me. I was going to go through the wins and losses for 82 games, but, nobody wants to hear that. But, I think you could just pencil in 50 wins again for the Sixers. I think you just do that. Then we'll start from there. I remember I was all hyped up after the Al Horford trade. This is where all the credibility just goes out the window. I was like, this team is going to be so dominant defensively with what they're going to be. Oh, this is going to be so great. And then that turned out to be a complete bust. And I was like, 60 wins for the Sixers. 60. Nobody will score on this team. Could not have been more wrong about that. Did I mention that Ben Simmons guy a second ago? I believe I did. I saw some people taking this and running with it, and not rightfully so. Not rightfully so. This is a guy that goes around and does this to NBA players. I've seen him do it with a couple other guys. Jimmy Butler might be one of those names that he did it to. James Harden might be one of the names that he did. Well, he'll go up to, for instance, a guy like Ben Simmons and go, "Oh my God, Russell Westbrook, what's up, bro? What's going on, man?" And he'll just mess with him like that. So this went viral yesterday. And to set the scene for the people on the podcast, if you haven't seen it, Ben Simmons is at a mall. And he looks to have at least 1 security guard and a friend, maybe 2 security guards, maybe, I don't know. And it looks like he's buying candy. All right, he's at the old candy shop at the mall. And this guy walks up to him and posts this video. He's filming Ben Simmons, and he says all this, what you're about to hear.
Oh my God, man, it was you, bro. Russell Westbrook, bro. Russell Westbrook, bro. Oh my God, bro. Russell Westbrook, bro. Hold up, bro. I ain't playing with you, bro. I ain't playing with you, bro. Russell Westbrook, bro. Can't shoot, bro. I'm sorry, bro. All right, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Can't shoot, bro. Huh? Westbrook, bro. All right, bro. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. I love you, bro. All right, I love you, bro.
All right. First time I saw this guy do it, I thought it was like, what, is he really serious? No, he's not. He knows what he's doing. He is purposefully calling these guys other names. He is saying Russell Westbrook to Ben Simmons like he was just there. First off, let me just say, I give Ben Simmons credit. Like, he doesn't engage the guy at all. He gives him a fist bump, but he doesn't say anything like, no, hey, dude, I'm Ben Simmons. He just, whatever. He lets it play out. But when the guy sneaks in, and I forget the guy's name, he's a YouTuber, but I forget the guy's name, but he drops in the you can't shoot, bro. Can't shoot. And now you could say that about Russell Westbrook as well, but he knows what he's doing there. He's dropping that little nugget in there just to see if he can get a reaction, because ultimately that's what he really was. Because if he thinks he's going viral now by just calling the wrong NBA star the wrong name, imagine if he actually got a reaction of a guy really getting in his face. That would be even more viral than this man already going viral. But yes, I thought it was funny. I do give Ben Simmons credit for not engaging in any further than that, because, it could, depending on if you get a guy on the wrong day. But you know what else it reminded me of? Have you been to a mall lately? I had an emergency situation where I had to buy a suit recently. Because see, what happened was, nothing happened for like 2 years. Thanks, pandemic. And I got fatter, and I'm like, I should probably buy a new suit. And I needed one last minute. So I went to a mall thinking, just buy one off the rack. And like the only thing there is like Express Men and Sears. And that's a lot of ill-fitting material, a lot of ill-fitting suits. But bottom line is I went to a mall. I went to the Plymouth Meeting Mall. I went to the shops at Liberty Place in Center City, and that's really not going to happen. That's not good for me. And then I went to Joseph A. Bank. And that wasn't really happening. And then I was like, I'll just go out to Plymouth Meeting, see what's going on there. I go out to Plymouth Meeting, and like, it was no one. There was no one there. They had like one of them things that you could stand in, and it's attached to all these different elastic bands, and you can jump and do flips, and it flips you around, and like that was the attraction. It had like sad, like children's rides where you put a quarter in, and the thing just like kind of you're on a horse, like that weird thing that was like at Pizza Hut outside for a second when you back in the day where you had to wait in line at Pizza Hut. Like it was weird. Like, I honestly felt like I was in, season 2 of Stranger Things? Was that where the mall existed? Or was that season 3? Season 3. And I'm in a mall, and I'm just like, where are all the people? Was that a worker? No, that's someone who lives here now? Okay. Like, it was just so crazy. So Ben Simmons then being at a mall to go to a candy shop. Good for you. I guess that's what's going to happen, though. If you go to malls nowadays, you're just going to get heckled. Was it funny? I thought it was funny. I thought it was funnier when the first couple times I saw this guy do the same type of thing. But the fact that it was Ben Simmons just made it all the more funnier, I guess. The grievance is settled. He's with the Brooklyn Nets. KD's not going to be a Brooklyn Net next year. Nets are going to go up in flames. Sixers are going to win the conference. I don't care about Ben Simmons anymore. Let this be the end of it. Him getting heckled, I find hilarious. Let me get this in. Eagles are in Cleveland right now. They're going to have a joint practice with the Cleveland Browns. Elliott Shore-Parks tweeted out something that I think it summed up kind of how I feel about all this. And I've been talking about how preseason games are almost on that same level now as the joint practices because joint practices have become so typical in the NFL. With one less preseason game than we're used to, they have decided to double down on the joint practices throughout preseason, throughout training camp. Last year, you heard Nick Sirianni talk at length about how these practices are like games and you got to win the practice and all that stuff. So Elliott Shore-Parks tweeted out yesterday, what will the Eagles' record be over these next 2 practices in Cleveland? 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. What will the Eagles' record be? And I thought that was hilarious. It got 3,000 votes or whatever, and I just thought it was so ridiculously funny. So it made me chuckle yesterday. But they're looking at this, and I'm listening to guys coming out of practice 2 days ago now, like Landon Dickerson, and he's talking about how it's so great to go over there and, basically bang shoulders with guys that are not wearing the same jersey as you and guys that during the regular season are going to be trying to help you win. Like, it's good to not have to do that anymore and go square up against somebody that is trying to win their job on another team, on another roster. And if you have players buying into that mindset, I mean, bottom line is, like, I don't care how much you're competing with somebody that's next to you on your same team for that same roster spot, like happens every single year at training camp in football. The minute you're looking at somebody else with another jersey on, that level goes up. And when I talk to former players about that, they all say the same thing. Yeah, it gets you going because you don't want to be shown up and be that team's locker room fodder. You don't want that team walking into the locker room going, I really got that guy. Did you guys see how I put Landon Dickerson on his ass? Ha ha ha. Like, no, you don't want that to happen. Everybody knows the competition's already. It's spoiled. When you know you're going to be competing for a starting offensive lineman job, you're going to be competing for a starting running back job, or to be in the regular rotation as a wide receiver, everybody knows those competitions are there going into camp. But when you're going to face another team, it leaves a little bit more to be desired. It's, wait a minute, hold on, let me a second here. I got to go up against this guy that I don't know too well. I better put him on his ass. Because if there's a guy already on your roster that you're competing with and they see you get beat by that guy and then they beat that guy in turn, yeah, that's not a good look for you either. So it's extra added motivation. to continue winning the battle that you're fighting for at your own roster spot. Like even a guy like Kobe Dean and Trent Edwards, I do think they're going to have situations where those guys are on the field at the same time. However, if you're going to be competing for that Mike position on the reg, you got to win that battle in training camp in your own practices. Then you got to go out there and do something against the opposition, like the Cleveland Browns, for instance, this week. So it's just extra added motivation. The players know that. They acknowledge it. The coaches are all about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having these joint practices like you're having. And then you square off on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, by the way. I haven't mentioned that yet. Sunday at 1 o'clock, they'll play the Cleveland Browns. It feels like it's really been a minute since there was a Sunday afternoon preseason game for the Eagles. I just always remember like the 7:05 or 7 to 7:30 preseason times, but maybe I'm just missing something. Feels like it's been a minute since there's been a 1 o'clock in the afternoon preseason game, but that's where we're at. So the Eagles will be out there in Cleveland. They'll be fighting for their positions on the depth chart with the Cleveland Browns. Both sides, as you would anticipate, are very excited about the joint practices, and then we'll see how this goes in Cleveland before the Sunday at 1 o'clock kickoff. Yesterday, we didn't mention it. I've been talking about Miles Sanders having a better training camp. I did not mention his hamstring injury yesterday. The severity of the injury is still not known. I'm not too concerned about it, but whenever I do hear hamstring, the thought in the back of my mind and the dark recesses of my mind are always, don't let this linger into the regular season. So if I'm the Eagles and Kenny Gainwell has been struggling and not taking a big step forward in his second pro training camp, Miles Sanders, you go have a seat over there. We're going to put you in glass, and you don't move for a month. You stay right there because we're not risking it. We need you on the field when training camp starts, or excuse me, when the regular season starts, training camp ends, and we need your hamstring as healthy as possible. So you do nothing but take a nice bath, relax, maybe read a book, and you just concentrate on hitting the holes that this awesome offensive line is going to be creating for you as the season goes on, or as the season starts. That's it. You're on ice for the rest of the training camp. We don't need to see you anymore. I like the fact that up until this hamstring injury, he was catching balls out of the backfield. I like the fact that up until this hamstring injury, he supposedly was doing a better job of attacking the holes at the line of scrimmage. And I like the idea that the guy is playing with that chip on the shoulder that we mentioned yesterday. Brian Westbrook told us about last week. That's it. He's motivated. He's aware of what's at stake. He does not need to be out there anymore. Do not even put pads on. Don't even wear your jersey. We still got now, officially 24 more days before the season actually starts. Miles Sanders, you know what? Just put him in a wheelchair. Just have an intern, whoever, push him around. I don't even want him using that hamstring. And then when the season starts, release the hounds. Release good old Booby Sanders and have him go out there and do what he can do. I shut it down right now for Miles Sanders. I shut it down. Conversely, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is now no longer a tight end on the Eagles. He's no longer a wide receiver on the Eagles. He is now occupying a roster spot in Seattle. Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor. Now, if you're a betting man, Quez Watkins is your third receiver. Jalen Reagor is fighting for the right to be on this team. Zach Pascal, who we talked about yesterday, who mentioned at length how Jalen Hurts' deep ball has been accurate as anything coming in here as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Zach Pascal's very impressed with Jalen Hurts as his quarterback. Zach Pascal's in the mix for that third wide receiver spot. These are the positions now in the next 2 weeks, especially through this week now, first joint practice, second preseason game. I want to see who's going to take over that third spot. Quez Watkins, I think, has it locked up. But when you talk about a rotation, 4 or 5 guys, who's going to be number 4 on this depth chart, you could be looking at Zach Pascal most likely, because I still don't think Jalen Reagor, even if he does have a great camp, even if he does have a breakout 2 preseason games here and really give you hope, I just don't think they're going to have a roster spot for him. When you look at Pascal, though, and you look at this fourth wide receiver spot, I just want to see those 2 guys, Pascal and Reagor, battle it out. If there was any doubt with Quez Watkins that we really didn't get into much after the first preseason game, the first play of the game where Jalen Hurts is scrambling out of the pocket and he throws down the sideline, who did he throw down to? He threw down to Quez Watkins. That's a guy I think that his plays go on because of his speed and his quickness. I think that's the guy that Jalen Hurts, when all breaks down, will start to focus in on. Devontae Smith, I think, is great at getting open on the initial route. That's, I think, where he excels past anybody. Throwing a double move there, the guy is going to be open 10 yards down the field before the next defensive back can even enter the frame. A guy like A.J. Brown can obviously go up and win those battles one-on-one with defensive backs. He can absolutely do that. But if you're extending a play, the guy I am most confident in, if Jalen Hurts goes back, 3-step drop, whatever it might be, 7-step drop, even if he goes back and he surveys the field, sees nobody open, he has to buy some time, the number one guy, the guy I guarantee you he's looking for is, yes, obviously the open wide receiver, but most likely that guy will be Quez Watkins because of his speed and quickness. I think Devontae Smith, yes, he has speed, but I don't think he has Quez Watkins' speed. But I also don't think that Quez Watkins has the quickness, the agile ankles of a Devontae Smith, which is what makes Devontae Smith so good on those slant routes, so good on those double moves. But when it comes to Quez Watkins, I got more confidence in him with his speed and quickness to get open for a guy like Jalen Hurts when he is scrambling around trying to buy time so his wide receivers, or his targets rather, can get open. I think Quez Watkins is going to be the guy that he is on the same page with and the guy that he's looking at. So I think your top 3 spots are very much locked up. It's a matter of whether or not you're going to get on the same page as a Zach Pascal. It's a matter of whether or not a guy like Jalen Rager, who I'm sure even as a first-round pick, the Eagles are still kind of hoping really makes it happen on this roster. Those are the guys that are going to be battling for that 4th wide receiver spot. This training camp session, these next 2 joint practices with the Cleveland Browns, I think are really going to help the Eagles put some space between guys that are number 4, number 5, and 6 and 7 on the depth chart. So that's what I'll be looking forward to in Cleveland. The other thing is just the continued maturation process of guys like Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis. Because after preseason game number 1, that Georgia connection just started really catching the attention of the rest of the National Football League. And I remember I put out a tweet of Jordan Davis's pressure that he put on Zach Wilson after game 1. And like some people in the Jets camp were like shooting it down, saying that their center was holding the line pretty well. And he was for a minute until the rookie was able to break up between 2 veterans and get after the quarterback a little bit and then chase him down to at least finish the play. And then there was some debate with people about what finishing the play meant. Finishing the play means he played to the whistle. It doesn't mean that he made the play, that he ended the play, because he finished the play. And I think seeing that on that frame of Jordan Davis, a big guy like that, and seeing the way he moved, that's a very encouraging sign for what he's going to be able to do at the NFL level. No question about that. So now what can he do against a Browns offensive line that is porous? And what can Nakobe Dean do when he continues to follow his Bulldog teammate through the middle of the line of scrimmage? If I am Jonathan Gannon, and I'm watching these guys play the way they have played throughout training camp, throughout preseason game number 1, and obviously through their Georgia careers, oh my goodness. I'm drooling over what I could do with these 2 guys. Just these 2 guys. Not what I could do with the rest of this defense. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, he's fighting through an injury as well. But what I could do with this entire defense is great, I think. With the weapons you have, Hassan Reddick adding into the mix, Josh Sweat, I think, due for another big year. Brandon Graham coming back, like the whole roster you guys know. But these 2 guys in particular, if I'm watching what they've been able to do in training camp, what they've been able to do through the first preseason game, and hopefully we'll just see more of it, I'm drooling, I'm foaming at the mouth for what I could do if I actually design blitzes and design pressures for these 2 guys. I think by default, we're going to see what will look like a more aggressive Eagles defense, because you're going to see a better Eagles defense than what you saw last year. By default, you're going to look more aggressive simply because you have more talent. But if Jonathan Gannon really wants to hit the old turbo button, he can do that with ease. And I don't think overextend himself. Like he might have been worried about doing that last year. Because one of the things I was criticizing him for, a lot of people were criticizing for, he wasn't forcing mistakes. He wasn't forcing turnovers. The Eagles were one of the worst teams in football in turnovers last year in terms of takeaways. They weren't able to do it. In terms of sacks, they weren't able to do it. But in terms of trying to just be aggressive, I think Jonathan Gannon was way too cautious and way too paranoid about overextending the defense, asking too much of them, and then they end up getting beat deep. I think this year, with the talent you have added, you can afford to at least attempt to overextend yourself and go after the quarterback and be more aggressive. Try to get more tackles for loss. Try to get more sacks. Try to force more fumbles and interceptions. Try to force the opposing team into more mistakes. Oh, and also the schedule, as we all know, not nearly as good as it was last year. It was more second half schedule stuff. Last year's second half schedule will be like this year's season, more or less. That, to me, I think, is what will help put this team over the edge. The combination of a weaker schedule and the combination of you have gotten a lot better defensively. Now it's a matter of whether or not Jonathan Gannon is going to use that to his advantage. So that's what I'm really going to be looking forward to. I want to see, look, you get vanilla, right? We always talk about it with offense, the vanilla playbook. Same thing on defense, vanilla. But all I want to see is the encouragement that at the pro level, these young guys, Jordan Davis, Jacoby Dean, these are guys that can get after the quarterback. These are guys that can get the tackles for loss. These are guys that you won't have to ask a whole lot of to be able to wreak havoc on an offense. You won't have to overextend. You won't have to try too hard. You won't have to dial up some immaculate scheme. No, these guys are just good football players. And I've said it a lot, and I'll go back to it with our guy, Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick said in his introductory press conference, just let me go play football. Hey, Hassan, when are you at your best? When are you most comfortable in the football field? When I'm allowed to play fast. Let these guys play fast. Jacoby Dean's at his best when he does that. Jordan Davis is at his best when you just let him be powerful and make plays. Hassan Reddick, just let him play fast. You let those guys go out there and do what they're the best at. You put them in the best possible position, you're going to have a lot of success. You won't have that, elaborate, I better be aggressive here. No, you're going to be more aggressive by default because of better players. But if you draw up something, it's not something you're going to have to go crazy out of your way and use 3 players to free up 1. So essentially 4 players on 1 play, leaving 2 guys wide open. Like you're not going to have to worry about that. Plus, and this isn't exactly a vote of confidence, but if Jonathan Gannon keeps one thing from last year, I think this is what he keeps. Your safeties are going to be the deepest guy on the field at all times. And that's like textbook. That's first year you ever play football. If you're a safety, make sure the deepest guy on the field, no one's behind you. Jonathan Gannon basically did it throughout last year because he didn't want to give up the big play. And we had Steven Nelson on this show who said it was genius. I later caught up with Devontae Maddox, who talked about that same defensive strategy and said that it was brilliant. We've talked about this a lot with Jonathan Gannon's strategy. I don't think you have marquee safeties here. In fact, I think the weakest part of this team is the safety position. I think Anthony Harris is a decent safety. I think Marcus Epps will play fundamentally sound football. But with what you have up front, aside from the 9 other positions, I think those guys will give the safeties a huge curve to be graded on throughout this season. Because all they're going to be asked to do is play deep. No one behind you. Let the 9 guys in front of you take care of their positions, and you'll be in a good space if you're a safety on this team. They play deep. 9 guys that are in front of them play aggressive, play like they know how to play. I think this defense can be one of the best in the NFL. I mean, look at this last year. By design, because they didn't allow those big plays, they were the 10th best team in the NFL in terms of yards allowed. That's insane to think about that with Jonathan Gannon's defense. That's a situation where it's like, numbers don't lie, but they do deceive. There's no way this was a top 10 defense. Would you look at this Eagles defense last year and go, they are a top 10 defense? Well, statistically speaking, yards-wise, they were. Yeah. I'd rather make sure you're winning that turnover battle. I'd rather make sure you're not allowing, 25 points per game or whatever that might be. Like, that's what I would focus more in. Like, I look more at points than I do in yards. Because you could shut it down. You can absolutely shut it down in the red zone, be a great red zone defense, be one of the best defenses in the league. That, to me, is more important. Turnovers, takeaways, right? Takeaways, points, those are the bigger statistical categories to me. That, to me, is, I think, how they get it done. Let me tell you about my good friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Oh, and one more thing. I wanted to mention this. So yesterday I had a first take on. Like I told you guys the other day, I usually have it on in the background, doing something around the house. And let's see, Mike Russo, Bad Dog, was talking about what the hell was he talking about? He was talking about quarterbacks. He was talking about Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott, at the time he was drafted in the 4th round out of Mississippi State. I thought to myself, where he's going to the Dallas Cowboys and where Carson Wentz is going to the Philadelphia Eagles, Dak Prescott is going to have a better career than Carson Wentz. At the time, I was looked at, hot take. I remember my dear friend Glenn Mack now. Oh, as far as that, you like a Cowboy now? No, I don't like the Cowboys. I'm just saying I like Dak Prescott. And if I'm the Eagles, I would have taken him instead of Carson Wentz because I didn't think the Eagles were ready for a quarterback. Now, that ended up being totally wrong because they won a Super Bowl 2 years later. However, what really caught my attention from Russo was the Eagles don't have a quarterback. He was comparing Prescott and Jalen Hurts. And he said Jalen Hurts does not mean that you have a quarterback. The Eagles don't have a quarterback. And in all honesty, I know we've talked a lot about how there's a question as to whether or not he can be the quarterback of the future and the franchise guy. Jalen Hurts here, can he be the franchise guy? I know we've talked about that a lot. But last year, I felt like if you're a quarterback of a NFL team and you make the playoffs and it's your first year as a starter, I at least know I have a quarterback. Do I think they have a top 10, top 5 elite quarterback? No, I don't. But I think they have a quarterback that can quarterback them back to the playoffs, that could quarterback them to a division championship. And I think they have a quarterback that can win a playoff game. So if I think those 3 things are possible with Jalen Hurts as your starting quarterback, I think you got a quarterback. I think if they have a quarterback that has these weapons and a defense that I do think is going to be one of the best in the NFL, I think you got yourself a quarterback. Do they have Aaron Rodgers? No. Do they have Tom Brady? No. Do they have Russell Wilson? No. But I can at least say they have a quarterback that will help them win games, and they have a quarterback that won't lose them games. I think if you could say that sentence out loud, including the other things on that resume of already being in the playoffs, so getting back to the playoffs in your second year as a starter, possibly winning a playoff game, I can see the Eagles winning the division. I think you're doing that if you have a quarterback, and the Eagles have a quarterback. When he said the Eagles don't have a quarterback, I went, huh? I think if Jalen Hurts is good enough to get you to the playoffs and win you a playoff game, and I think he is good enough to do that, I think you got yourself a quarterback. By that standard, there's only 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. By that standard. I don't think Jalen Hurts is in that top 5, top 10 category by any means, but I think he's good enough to help you win games. They don't have a quarterback. That's what it sounded like. Mad Dog. They don't have a quarterback. Stephen A. Russo. Good times. Good television. Good television. Let me tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right here on Jewelers, right on Jewelers Row in Philadelphia. Do what I do when it comes to the jewelry purchases that you need in life. Wedding bands, engagement rings, birthday presents, push presents, fellas. Got to buy that push present nowadays. Steven Singer is the place to go. Steven Singer Jewelers, because at Steven Singer, you know you're going to get taken care of at the perfect price each and every day at Steven Singer Jewelers. The perfect price guarantee at Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Manscaped. Manscaped would like to introduce you to the biggest ultimate hygiene bundle yet, their Platinum Package 4.0. Because, fellas, you want to look good everywhere, right? You want to look well kempt. Kept. You want to look good everywhere. And that's where the Platinum Package 4.0 enters the chat with a Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, with all skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Plus, it includes the Ultra Premium Body Wash 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, crop reviver, ball spray toner, anti-chafing boxers, the Shed Travel Bag also that'll hold all the goods you'll be using to take care of your goods from Manscaped. And right now, use promo code Farzy. You see it? Oh, come on. Boop. Now you see it in the scroll below. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off at manscaped.com. That's 20% off at manscaped.com and free shipping with promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. And don't forget, you'll get that shed travel bag and join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free shipping with promo code Farzy. How about Freestone Farm CBD? You like CBD? You want to try CBD? Are you someone that likes to take a more natural approach to everything that you put in your body? Well, that's why you got to go to Freestone Farm CBD, FreestoneFarmCBD.com, and use promo code Farzy for 20% off your FreestoneFarmCBD.com order. Promo code Farzy for 20% off. Their menu is something you'll absolutely have to check out. With strains like their insane tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys are off the charts. It doesn't get any better than this. And they also grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM, so there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Like a nice soprasata. Just one look or smell, and it'll let you know it's CBD done right. Go to FreestoneFarmCBD.com, promo code Farzy for 20% off at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about Blue Chew? Fellas, you having a little problem in the bedroom? If you got a problem, you've heard of Blue Chew by now. Might be too embarrassed to go to the doctor, have a conversation at the pharmacy. Not with Blue Chew. Ships right to your home in a discreet package. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Right now, Blue Chew's tablets help men combat all forms of ED. And again, Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so there's no embarrassing trips to the doctor or pharmacy as Blue Chew ships right to your home in a discreet package. Blue Chew's process, a simple one. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of the licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. It's all done online. Also, Blue Chew's licensed medical providers will work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problem here. Blue Chew's tablets are chewable, so it's not just a clever name. Blue Chew's tablets are also made right here in the good old US of A. That's right, it's American made. And they prepare and ship directly to your home. And they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Once again, here's a special deal for our listeners and our viewers. Blue Chew. Try it for free when you use promo code Farzy at checkout and just pay $5 shipping. That's it, $5. You get your first month free of Blue Chew when you pay $5 shipping. BlueChew.com, promo code Farzy, all one word, to receive your first month free from BlueChew.com. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's jump into the chat check, see how you beautiful people are doing. What's going on here? Kevin, what's going on? April. That ninth was brutal. April, it hurt my heart is what it did, the Phillies yesterday, the way they lost that game in the ninth inning. It hurt my heart. When there's a certain look a batter gets on their face when they know they just took a pitch they could have belted out of the park. And that pitch, JT Realmuto struck out on. I don't know what he was looking for. Just above the knees, middle in, and I'm thinking that ball should be in the left field seats right now. That ball should be in the left field seats, and Philly should be up 1-0, and I should be jumping off my sofa right now. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but my sofa reclines. It's basically two attached recliners and a chase. So if I'm ever really, if I'm laying back watching a game, I got to be like, home run! Zip. Stand up. Yeah! Sit back down. Lean back. Watch the rest of the ball game. That's how I celebrate sports. Hold on. I got to put the seat back down. I can't have the crank thing to put the seat down, like the ottoman of the recliner. I can't have that, like that lazy boy type John. I can't have that. Mine's from Raymore and Flanagan. And it reclines, and I was shocked that my wife wanted to buy it. Okay, that's enough of my sofa. But I don't like to brag, but my sofa reclines. Okay? Anyway. Mike Fuji! Welcome back. How you doing, buddy? April, Suarez looking great yesterday. He absolutely did. Mally, what's going on? Nice to see you. Great to see. Was glad to see JT frustrated after that at bat. He needs to hit in those situations. Totally agree, April. He was red hot for a minute there. Red hot. Then he wasn't. Boop, boop, boop. Hey, but dude, mullets. What's going on, mullet? Wait, what? Sure, if it's been asked, is that a Dundee on the shelf? There it is. You getting that? For the people on the podcast, I'm showing my Dundee. That's on my shelf. Shout out to my buddy Brian Goodwin. They had an office party at their house where everyone had to dress up. This was 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, 2019. And I dressed up as Kevin. And I walked in with a big bowl of chili. And yes, I spilled it on the floor. It wasn't real chili. It was I put like red ribbons. I taped the red ribbon inside, like a streamer. You know what I mean? I put that in there, and then I dumped it on the floor, and it was a real pot. So it made a lot of noise. And once I did it one time, and then when I did it one time, I was hooked. I probably did it like 10 times, and I'm sorry to everyone that was at that party. But they hired singers to come in and sing the Dunder Mifflin theme. Dunder Mifflin, the paper people. That thing, whatever that was, I don't know the words, but they came into the sing and they nailed it. And I did. That's not even my Dundee. They awarded my wife. They awarded it to my wife. Every couple got a Dundee. And I would rather, my wife deserves it more than I do. I am not a good office person. My wife actually works in an office, like a real job, and she deserves it more than I do. I have worked in an office. I have had an office job, and that was my hell. You know what I don't miss about it? The meetings. Let me relate to you, to you fine people for a second here that actually, like some of you guys have to go into an office. Like some of you might be on your way to an office right now listening to this podcast. If you guys have a Tuesday meeting, a Thursday meeting today, I feel so bad for you. I hate meetings. And it's for the same reason everyone hates meetings, although everyone has this person in their office. And if you don't know this person, then yes, you are this person. The stupid question. Like, no questions are stupid. In meetings, there's a lot of stupid questions because it's not so much that the question itself is stupid. It's that you're wasting everyone's time by just highlighting the fact that you're at the meeting. There's nothing accomplished. And you're asking a question that's from the beginning of the meeting anyway, just to know, oh, well, you were paying attention. Okay, cool. You just want to acknowledge that you were there. Highlight yourself. We covered that in the first minute, Bob. Joe, pay attention. Yes, but I just thought there was another way we could have done it. It's a fire drill, okay? Everyone knows where to go. You leave the building. Get my TPS reports on my desk immediately. Anyway, I feel bad for the people in meetings. When I was a promotions director in radio, it was the worst job I ever had in my life because of the meetings and because everybody else's BS became your BS. But anyway, that's a Dundee. Jeez. I really went Family Guy there. My apologies. Boop, boop, boop. Ba-da-boop. What am I looking at here? Where the hell did I leave off? Yes, that's a Dundee. Oh, wow. Wow. April and Mally. You guys, that's a conversation. Love that man, by the way. Yes, that is a Dundee. Mullet, there you go. April, you see the Dundee? There you go. Mullet, I look at it all the time wondering. Do you guys, maybe one day I'll just go through the stuff on the shelf. I got my, the piece of the 76ers history, the hardwood right there from the Spectrum, my Frank Sinatra plaque, my last Super Bowl, this is my last Super Bowl credential. I won't say last, this is my most recent. That's from my days at NBC, working for Sunday Night Football. That was cool. That's a whole other story. I could do a whole podcast just on this. My Carlos Ruiz bobblehead, Fanatic hat, and my mocha pot. To any Italians, the mocha pot, it wasn't doing it for me. No, I got to use the espresso machine. Mocha pot, no bueno. I don't know what it is. I get, no matter if I clean it, whatever, it just tastes like metal to me. Just tastes like metal. I got to get the actual espresso machine. Will the starters play Sunday? Jim Grassmeter, probably not. Good morning, Fly Eagles Fly. What's going on? Good morning to you. Nice to see you. Fly Eagles Fly says this is more like the dress rehearsal, so I think they'll play at least a series. But the joint practicing. See, the joint practicing makes me think they won't play. April, they need to call plays without being scared. I agree. Hey, look, I'm of the belief if you're playing football, injuries are a part of it, and it sucks, but it's football. Like, there's no patty cake way of playing football. I don't think they end up playing. That's just how I feel about it. I think with Miles Sanders won't play. I don't think we see Miles Sanders for the rest of the preseason, and I think we'll barely see him at training camp. John Cheeseborough, what's up, buddy? Yeah, John, I was on the same wavelength as you, wanting Gannon to get a head coaching job because I didn't want him here in Philly. I just thought that it was so crazy that he did get head coaching interviews. There are certain people, man, that just, you can't explain it. They're the chosen one for whatever reason. Jim Grassmeter, I'd have discussions with people all the time about the Eagles and Gannon, and they would complain about no blitzing. I'd always say, blitz with who? That's Jim, perfect example. Speaking of Dundies, I'm watching the Superfan episodes on Peacock. There you go. PJ, mullet with the chili. Yo, that's funny. 10 times is a must. You know, you and your wife deserve that Dundee, right? Right? See what it says? World's best boss. I got it at Spencer's Gifts. Anyway, joint practices are the dress rehearsals now, especially after Hurts. John, I would agree with that more than anything. Boop. What did I miss? Did I miss somebody? I thought Ray had one in here. I thought Ray dropped a nugget. Ray, with the Eagles schedule being easier this year, if you don't have a better year than last year, there's reason to be concerned. Ray, I 1,000% agree with you. Oh, Fly Eagles Fly. You think the Eagles will play a quarter? Maybe the starters will play a quarter? Okay. Hey, look, I hope I see the starters. If I'm watching the Eagles, I want to see Jalen Hurts, but in the preseason, not so much. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Appreciate you guys as per usual. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Eagles and Browns start their joint practices today in Cleveland ahead of their Sunday 1 o'clock in the afternoon kickoff. What the hell is that in the preseason? Phillies have an off day. A much-needed off day after these bats. They play Friday with Kyle Schwarber back in the lineup, according to Rob Thompson. And then they're back at it for a 4-game series on that Friday with a doubleheader on Saturday. So enjoy the day off, essentially, people. Enjoy the day off in Philadelphia sports. By the way, the Union lost yesterday, too. They lost 1-0, so that sucks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. You guys are fantastic. Jim Hyde produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. There's also Buzz Sports Entertainment Production. My name is Mark Farzy. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you on Doop Friday, which is tomorrow. Have a great Thursday. See ya.